I wanted to try to put something together which started with quite a fragile, exposed acoustic guitar playing in sort of style of a poor man's bourrée by Bach, that sort of aspect. As far as the instrumentation goes, there are going to be there's recorders to the early part which gives it a sort of slightly medieval feel.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway to heaven.
That was an idea of John Paul Jones's, to put the recorders on, and he played the recorders. When I actually had the idea for Stairway, that wasn't necessary. I wasn't thinking recorders. I was thinking more the texture of actually the electric piano.
She's buying the stairway here. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have to mean.
The idea of Stairway was to have a piece of music, a composition, whereby it would just keep unfolding into more layers and more moods, and actually the whole intensity of or subtlety and the intensity of the overlay of the composition would actually accelerate as it went through on every level, every emotional level, every musical level, and so it just keeps opening up as it continues through its sort of passage. Robert was magnificent with his input of lyrics to the music of Led Zeppelin anyway. This was during the period that we were at Headley Grange that the thing was put together. It was slightly complicated to be doing this whole thing without a vocal, because at the time there weren't any lyrics, and this was the backbone of what the song was intended to be, and the whole of the running order from the beginning to the end was sort of mapped out. It was tricky. It was a tricky thing to do because there's a lot of music and changes in it.
And it's whispered that soon, if we all...
I remember during that period, Robert was sort of sitting down, leaning against the wall, and he was just sort of writing. I will never forget that image of him doing that. We do a run-through of it from beginning to end with the guitar opening, as we all know. And then Robert comes up and starts to pitch in and sing. And I tell you, it must have been 90% of the lyrics were already done. What I'd learnt about John Bonham, that he could be really effective if he came in somewhere down the line on the song.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alone there.
And so everything is starting to open up on this map, on this journey through. And all of this stuff was planned, you know, it wasn't just an accident or everyone chipping in. It was just, it really was a sort of design. One of the cardinal rules when I was a studio musician was that you didn't speed up. And I was keen to do something which had an acceleration to it, not only from the musical point of view, but from the lyricist, so that the whole thing would start to gain a momentum as it went through. So it wasn't just a monotone piece. And by that, I actually mean that it would subtly speed up. So you're breaking the #1 cardinal rule.
Dear lady, can you hear the wind blow? And did you know your stairway lies on the whispering wind?
The concept of the solo was to have something like a sort of fanfare, so it's a definite transition. So it comes in with a fanfare to introduce this solo, and the solo is just going to soar right through. It was a very inspired time for all of us at the time that we were living in the Headley Grange as a residence, eating, sleeping, making music. That's what we were doing day after day after day. And it sort of tells when you hear the fourth album. But, you know, Stairway is a sort of byproduct of it, of all of that. But, you know, it's obviously been quite substantial in, as a milestone for Led Zeppelin. At the end of that solo, there's the trills, which lead it into this huge finale, which is the vocal as we wind on down the road. And by that point, it's really motoring. It's not racing, but it's just the passion of it. It's just unfolded on every respect of the lyrical aspect of it. Robert was inspired. It was really an inspired period of time. It sort of shows, I think the lasting quality of this music over all these years is the fact that everyone's playing so honestly and with such conviction that it sort of shows.